to WarPaint Wednesday. This is the first installment of the repaint of one of my witches, the Succubus, the leader of the squad, to be exact. I'm doing this intro because she's not finished. I've already filmed 2 hours, maybe 3 of me working on that model, and it's still not finished. So I will do it in 3 installments instead, with some sped up. If you don't want it sped up, please tell me in the comments, or if you want it on high speed, except for little notes and comments that I do, tell me which one you would prefer. And here comes the video. Thank you for watching. Today we are going to make this Succubus not suck anymore. They are part of the leaders of the witches of the Drukhari. And you might wonder what's going on here. She was bought secondhand, as was the rest of the squad, but they weren't assembled. She was. So we have some things to fix here. Like, the sword was broken off, so I had to cobble this one together with just basically pieces of other blades. I think it turned out pretty cool. So we're just gonna paint that in a cool metallic color. Her hair is white down here, but I don't want it to be completely white. I want it to sort of fade into a black because, well, she aged, and that's what happens. It's long hair. It was a long time since she was defeated last. And I've already based most of the body with, I think, Caliban green is the base, dark green base color. And then I don't like the color of the loincloth, so we're gonna change that to, I think, the same red as the shoulder pad. And she's wearing one red shoulder pad because I have the Inari, like Iniad. He's not finished, or she, it's a god, is not finished yet, so we'll be painting that one or finishing it off in another video later. But let's start with this here Succubus. Oh, and she's also, like, doesn't have any skin color, so we're gonna do that today too, as well as finish up the detail. So let's start out with painting the loincloth, because I just want to get that over with. At least the base of it. And this is my new favorite brush. We bought it at Michael's, I believe. It's just the 1mm Artist's Loft brush. It works so well. A little bit of shaky shaky. Put that glob on the palette. And always water down your paints a little bit so you don't lose the detail when you paint. Because if you glob on a very thick layer, or very thick layer, then you will lose the definition of the details, which is kind of what you're after with these miniatures after all. Maybe not everyone is after that, but since it's there, we might as well care for it. And these back here are going to be painted later because I don't like them at all as white. So we're going to use some brown for that. I think we want one more layer of red on the shoulder pad while we're at it. Oh, right, I forgot the back and underside of this, which is not cool. get that. The red I'm using here is Mephiston red. No, wait, it's corn red. Sorry, corn. Of course, you don't have to paint underneath the shoulder pad, but sometimes it just progresses that way. Alright, now let's go for second layer on that one glove, and then I'm done with this base layer of red. First layer has a cool white gradient, but no choice, right? I think this red is gonna make a nice contrast with the green of her outfit, which is what I think witches are all about. And as fierce as the Drukhari are, I think they have quite the fashion sense. I mean, they are elves after all. Kind of. Alright, that's looking good. I hope it zooms in on it. It doesn't take long either. Because we never really want to get the brush too wet. That. Maybe you want to see what I'm doing, so I'm just moving everything in here. Alright, so yes, let's use the same brush because, like I said, it's one of my favorites now. And we're gonna go in with Warpstone Glow. Is quite a leap from the dark base color, but I don't know, I quite like it. So we're gonna do one layer of Warpstone Glow on most of the armor, and then we're gonna do Lead Belcher on the sword and start off with the hair. I probably shouldn't lift her by the braid or the ponytail, but yeah, it works. And then we're gonna put some skin color on her. We own like 100 different shades of blue, but only, I think, 3 or 4 shades of green, so we're a little understocked on that. But you can do a lot with the shades you have, and you can even mix your own. Should probably try doing that sometime. Let's see here. Okay, this boot can remain like this dark green here, and we're gonna put metal on there. So that one remains dark green, and this one gets 2 thin layers of Warpstone Glow. Oh, and my light is flickering. Isn't that excellent? So every time I get new paint on my brush, I always dip it in water first to keep diluting it because it dries up quite quickly since it's acrylic paint. Oh, there's an arm all along that. Hi there. Okay, so I think we're just gonna go with green on the boot. Yeah, I didn't really have a plan for what I was gonna do with her more than put on some more layers of green. I'm gonna have to turn that off. It's connected to the same extension cord as my computer, so maybe that's the problem. Did I need to do it at the same time? Alright, then go along back here. This is my least part of the Drukhari armor. I don't know why they have this weird carapace looking thing on the back. Like, they're not insects. Makes them look kind of scaly and weird. Shall we make that arm another color? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. The witches all look like they've got neck braces, which is kind of weird. I wouldn't expect their healthcare to really care about their neck parts. And the witches are all about acrobatics too, like, not quite as much as the harlequins, but they're really mobile. Very dangerous units because of that. But, like, those neck braces make me think that they really can't move that well. And we have to keep moving the model. See where you go painting. It's also interesting that they've got armor on only one side. Like, you've got the leg armor here. You can see there the sort of scaliness. And the same thing up here. I really don't know what they're all about. Perhaps they just turn one side to the enemy and run at them. Yeah, and the bracers and armor like bronzy goldy copper color. Try not to move her too far from your field of vision. It's hard to keep track of all things. Okay, so let's put another layer on and start with the same leg that we started on. Okay, nice wing. Very nice. And after we've painted this layer, we're gonna start filling in where she has gaps, filling in with some kind of skin color base for that. Because then, if we make any mistakes or get it where we shouldn't, the next layer can cover that up. Let's go in with just my tiniest brush. I think this one is like 1/10 of a millimeter or something. It's my absolute favorite brush before the other one. It's got the skin on it. Again, paint on there. Because I saw here that you can actually see the sash a little bit. So let's just connect those two. Anywhere else? Nah. such a small amount of paint on this brush that it's best just to wipe it off immediately. Oops, green. Nail paint. We're back in. If you hear something scratching in the background, that's just our dog. She's a beagle. She's very nice. Not very loud for a beagle, actually. After some evenings, she's nice to be very loud for the rest of the week. We'll probably need another dip into the paint pot soon. I always close them because I don't want them to dry out while I'm painting. As you may notice, I'm kind of taking my time with the detail, making sure everything looks okay. That's really all you gotta do to make it good. Like, you gotta take your time and be precise. Of course, like everyone sometimes makes mistakes with the brush, like, but mostly it has to do with how rushed you are. If you don't have the time to do it properly and you want really detailed ones, it's better to wait until you've got time. Very good. And I don't really care if I get any paint on the base plate, because that's going to be covered up with, well, gravel and details later anyway. So no worries. Alright, you can already see that it's starting to get some depth to the colors and a little bit more dimension, because it's not the same color all the way through. For skin colors, I actually like starting out with sandy dust as a base. That's a little bit of a grayish beige, but I think it looks really good because, like, I don't know, it just gives some dimension to it. We don't need a lot because there isn't actually a lot of skin exposed on this one. Surprisingly for a witch. And this is a base color, so it's more opaque in the same thin layers. Which is good because we got some green on our stomach and stuff, and we want to cover that up. Yeah, and she immediately looks more alive, which is kind of ironic since she's one of the Inari and they kind of, it's the god of death she works with. Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you the whole thing about the shoulder pad, because they say that this guy here, the Vicearch, his armor is and is supposed to be red, which is apparently the color of the Inari, but I don't want to make all of them red. It's just boring to me. So instead, I just give them all one red shoulder pad. And that shows that they're the same army, but they can all have like different different colors on them. which I find much more fun. It's all about fun. Like, why would you want to paint something in a way that makes you don't like it? Makes no sense to me. Of course, you can use the codex if you can't think of a color scheme that you like. But these are Drukhari. Like, nobody rules them except maybe Asdrubal Vecht. But he doesn't anymore, so they're free Drukhari. Oh yeah, now she looks alive. Cool. What more? I still don't like that neck brace. It's really strange. Yes, lead belcher. Because lead belcher is the base for basically all silver colors. It's the best way to start out with those. It's really thick. Alright, so we're not gonna have to be as careful, so we can use another brush. This is just Revisor layer brush. I used to really like these, but then I found the other one and like that one even more. Go. Lead belcher. After a while, I can see how the paint kind of collects around the lid and makes it harder to close the pot properly. Which is also why I want to close it as quickly as possible to get as little of an annoying drip as possible. Yeah, you can see that this paint really is very thick. And it's way too much for just one sword. But some of it's gonna dry into the palette, so might as well put that there. It doesn't show me because this has is base now, which it really should be. I'm being lazy and just make this one done. But you can see how much nicer it is now with just one layer of metallic. So the way I did this was I just cut off, because in every set you get extra arms and stuff, just so you can position the miniatures as you like and things like that. And you have assembled a squad, know what I'm talking about. So I just took all the excess arms that had any type of blade, and then I put them on the back of a plate. I didn't want to use the front of it in case the blades would get stuck. But then I put just regular plastic glue on top, because that kind of melts the plastic, honestly. It's probably really toxic or something. But it melts the plastic together. So you get one solid piece, which then looks like some kind of space weapon. I think you can call this WYSIWYGing. I'm not sure. I don't think that term is just for detail, but maybe. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. Oh, I love it. At the same time, while we're at it, might as well. Now let's do that later. And that is way too much paint. Or should she have like that half moon? Yeah, on her head. Yeah, that should be lead belcher. Silver one. And that's something you're gonna notice when you paint your own things. Like when you get to finish like making the tiny details bring out so much in every single figurine. Like just those putting the color on that blade and that half moon thing, it makes such a difference in how it looks. I love it. Now let's try out that gradient for the hair. So we already have the white, so we're gonna go in with not Ashen Gray, Celestra Gray first. Sort of a transition into that. No? White Scar, then Celestra Gray, then Ashen Gray, and then black, yeah. Since Abaddon Black is the base, strength exercise to open every single one of these. Yet again, a little bit too much. You really don't need a lot of these colors to cover a large area. So let's go with that. Let's not forget the ends. Let's not forget the ends. I think I want to make this glove here black, so I might as well do that while I have black on this brush here. And this arm comes from a leftover Harlequin arm, because this lady, she was quite badly not put together when I got her. Like, I had to put on the ponytail and cobble together that sword like I told you, and then there was no arm that really fit left in the package that I liked. So I decided to just put a Harlequin arm on because I had those. And she's got some kind of grenade there that probably does something horrible to people. You'd think the Harlequin were nicer, but nope, they're quite as deadly as the rest of them. They just have masks, which actually makes them even creepier. I think the hilt of the sword is black as well. It's not like that too much. Not that it really matters, but I think it looks cooler if you have a few different colors going on. Just turn them on every angle. And granny, as I say. It's also choose black because green didn't really cover there. I don't have patience to do that with it. Alright, not bad. Yeah, what else are we gonna do? Okay, a little bit of gray. Just to fit in that. Shake up the Ashen Gray because that's the closest one to black that we got. I've used this brush quite a lot, so it's fraying a little bit. You can see it just sticks out on the sides, but it still works. You just gotta work with it a little bit more. When you do gradients, you want the paint to be even thinner than... When you work with gradients, you want the paint to be even thinner than you first think. Just gently paint over that. So it looks like the models are actually Ashen Gray to begin with, very close to that color. Then gently feather it in. Don't want any harsh lines. An etching gray is often used to highlight black, but I don't think we're going to do that in this case. We're going to try something else. Not bad at all. And then make the color a little bit thicker where you want that color to be, so that it goes like, so it's an actual transition between colors. Can pull that gray up a little bit further because we're gonna use Dawnstone later. From the top here down to the etching gray. It's a pretty smooth transition, if I may say so myself. And don't worry, we're gonna start shading soon. That brings out even more detail. And then the last few layers will of course be highlighting layers. Yes, we're gonna do the gauntlet and the bracelet there, and then the armor pieces. Yeah, I'm gonna go get the gold one. So we're doing Balthasar gold because that makes a really nice contrast against the green. Like I said, with all the metallics, you always gotta shake them a little bit extra for some reason. Oh, back on our finger. So we're just gonna start out using that. Yeah. I love this one. It's a very nice color. And then just go that. This is quite similar to the gauntlet that Ivrain, the leader of the Inari, wears. But this one has a different color. And I mean, she was a succubus for years. I think she was actually from a craft world from the start. Like, she has a really interesting history that for some reason is really hard to find easily to read without having to read a bunch about freaking Empire and everything. I'm not big on the Space Marine lore. Probably gonna get a bunch of shit for that, but hey, I'm a heretic, so. Oh, look at the difference that made. Isn't that wonderful? Then we're gonna paint that one copper as well. And the neighbor stones. Yes, quite nice. Now that the Eshin Grey has dried, let's go in with Celestra Grey. Celestra? Celestra. You can hear that the different paints have different consistencies. This one is much more liquidy than the others. But it's also lumpy. That's great. And that's way too much. Great. Okay, so I'm gonna Celestra Grey from here. Wipe off most of it carefully. Oh, it's still too aggressive. to the Ashen Gray. Looks like it has some kind of ribbon going on here in the ponytail. Yeah, these elder hairstyles are kind of intricate and frustrating. So that's gonna look better when we put some shading on the ponytail. But for now, it looks okay. Okay. Now let's put some shading onto this one. And the shading always takes a lot longer to dry than the paints do. So after that, I'm gonna take a break and let it dry. So since I used the Sandry Dust as oh, I'll need to charge my phone too. Since I used Sandry Dust, I'm gonna use Seraphim Sepia to shade the flesh body parts, and I'm gonna use this really thin brush for that shade, just so I can get it where I want it. And you can take shade from like parts where you've painted already, because it dries so slowly, you can just move it from one part to another. I find that works really well. If you accidentally flood a part of the miniature, you can just move it. And that was all we needed, just one dip into the that shade. And then we're gonna do green. Wipe that off. Camo shade. Try to get the shade exactly where we want it, but still kind of cover the whole thing so that we get some kind of, so that it looks even. Or this is actually made so that it shouldn't look even, ironically.